Alright, playing some Hearts of Iron 4 here. I made a video last night on, no, the other night actually, on Door Kickers 2, and apparently didn't record properly, so I'm about ready to do a take 3, trying to do some Door Kickers. But I'm going to do some Hearts of Iron 4 here for this one. I'm playing a mod with a mod right now that takes us all the way to 1956, so kind of into the Cold War. Um, and Right now I'm playing as the United States. I've made some modifications to the nations and how they're going to behave. What I want to do here with the United States is I want to eventually try to not focus too much on Japan and what they're doing over there in the Pacific, and I want to focus in on Central America. So I've set it up to where basically some South American nations are going to go communist, and that's going to be a issue for me. And basically, what I want to do here with the United States is I want to kind of control Mexico. I want to push into South America and completely dominate the Americas essentially by the end of this whole by the time we reach 1956. That's my goal right now, and I just started this game. As you can see, we are right in the beginning, 1936. So we're going up to that's I think 20 years. Let's see, 20 years. Maybe my slow math, but yes, 20 years. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm training up my military, and I haven't played the United States for a while. That's what I started with, the United States, when I was first learning how to play this game. And knowing what I know now, it's pretty amazing to see how incredibly OP the United States is, at least in terms of industry. Um, let's see what we want to. Let's get to making. Let's do basic armor. I mean, we got the tanks already. Let's put some basic armor on them first, and then we'll move into the other stuff. We can get ready to start researching this new battleship. Um, we could do that. I think what we'll do is we'll kind of. What I want to focus on here in this game mode is industry. Industry is really important in this game. You have to really have um, a lot of industry. Let's see here. Uh, yeah, so I'm thinking about what I want to do here. These two options here with the industry in terms of dispersed industry. So each has its perks, and you got to think about. We want to think about what we want, which was best. Do we want concentrated industry, or do we want dispersed industry? Right now, I'm thinking dispersed industry, but what's the difference between the two of them? They basically do the same thing. Well, the difference is um, a few little things. Like output is the same. Um, let's see, but there's a few little perks. Like for instance, factory bomb vulnerability for dispersed industry is minus 10% because your industry is spread out more. So if you happen to come under bombing from enemy nations and their warplanes, your industry is less impacted by that because your industry buildings are spread out rather than concentrated, so the enemy can't focus on a single area, kind of thing. It's like the sergeant in Sergeant Horvath in Saving Private Ryan when he said at the beginning of the movie, which a lot of people miss when they watch the movies. They're getting ready to land on the beach. Want to see plenty of beach between men. 5 men is a juicy opportunity. 1 man's a waste of ammo. What he was saying with that was, if 5 men are grouped together, it's a quote unquote juicy opportunity, as in one good mortar shell splatters all those guys, 5 guys. But if they're all spread out, the Germans got to waste their ammo on one guy rather than taking out a whole group of guys together at once. That's kind of what he meant with that. Anyways, so you have to think about that, what you want. So factory bomb vulnerability is minus 10%, so that's a good thing. Equipment conversion speed plus 20%. Let's see here. Lack of resources penalty is minus 5%. I think, concentrated industry is good. It's got some perks, but I like more what I get out of dispersed industry. I think essentially. I mean, you can only pick one of two. You can't pick both of them. I mean, I don't know why you can't. I mean, it's a game, I guess. They want you to kind of think about what you want to do rather than have your cake and eat it at the same time. Even though in something like the United States you probably could, but we're gonna go with dispersed industry. I think we just get more benefits with dispersed industry in the long run. Even though I don't think we're gonna really like America is almost never in danger of coming under attack in this game. America really is OP. I mean, you start out with 163 factories, which is a lot compared to most of the other countries I started with. I haven't tried the Soviet Union yet, but you typically have like maybe 60. Factories in this game are really important. The more factories you have, just the more things you can make and faster that you can make them. And so usually when I start this game, I focus on, especially if I'm in the United States and I don't really have to worry too much about coming under attack anytime soon, I put a lot of focus in building up my industry. So a lot of my research slots here are going to go to industry. So I have like 2 devoted to industry right here, these 2. 1 devoted to electronics. And then the rest, I'll start kind of devoting to developing military equipment. Production right now is probably where I'm really, really slacking a lot in production. Got to get that up to date here, as you can see here. I mean, we have small arms, infantry equipment. That is going to take to actually meet our quota with what we have right now. It's going to take 860 days. So that is, let's see, that's a little over 2 years that's going to take for us to get that. So what I'm doing right now is in my construction here, in my building constructions, got a lot of factories. Like, again, 162 factories you start with the United States, at least with this mod. I don't know what it's like in the base game. I don't remember. But with this mod, at least, you start with 162 factories. So hopefully what we're going to do is we got a bunch of military factories being made, and we can just start throwing all these to these things to get these up to date. I might just focus on small arms for a while and put a lot of factories. Okay, let's add one to the small arms. That's what we just got right there. That's what that notification was. We just got a new military factory produced or made, and we're going to devote that to making small arms. And then just because we need small arms in order to make divisions that can fight our wars. Okay, we have an injured. These are in training right now, these ships, and that indicates that it was this ship had gotten damaged during its naval exercises. So you have to constantly check on these when your ships are doing naval exercises. Make sure, because if you don't, they'll eventually sink, and we don't want that. Excuse me. So yeah, these are all my fleets right here. I have a lot of ships, 240 ships. I usually, when I first played, and I'll probably do this again in this game, in this particular game, I usually just convert all of my ships over to the Pacific because I end up getting attacked by Japan, which has a lot of ships and big fleets, and I find the best way to fight them is with bigger fleets. So that's how I beat Japan last time, and that's how I'm gonna have to do it again. So I'm anticipating that, and I'm getting my fleets ready for that stuff. Once I I don't know, for me, if I can just knock out Japan's navy, I don't care what else happens in the Pacific fleet. My concern right now is in the Americas. That's what I want to do with this one. Flamethrowers. Interesting. Why not? Well, let's not do why nots right now. Before we do that, let's focus on what we need. Let's see here. This is a new perk for this mod. Unlock special project Fog Intense Dispersed Device. Supply truck attrition -5. We need supplies. Support for the logistics side of our military is key and success in the field. That is true. So let's go ahead and research that. Excuse me. Political power gain, not a ton. It's in the positive, so that's good. We need political points to develop our government. So our national focus right now is Gonna once this is completed, we have 33 days left of our national focus. We're going to gain 120 plus political power points, which is going to be good. We can use that. One thing I also do with this game, and I'm starting to do with all of my games, is unlimited war goal claims. I do that because I just think personally, if you want to go to war, you should just go to war. You shouldn't have to like you got to do this focus tree thing or whatever to do to like if you want to do it, like you should just have the ability to do it. You know, you have to make the war goals and then declare war stuff. So that's the way I do it. All right, so these guys are one could either demand a total end to Jewish immigration to the region, and British authorities have already begun to prepare for further escalation. Well, that is Britain's problem, not mine. Oh, look, we got another factory here. So let's go to production. Let's add another factory to small arms. We'll do that for maybe one more factory, and then move them to the next thing that needs it. These battleships right here, I'm probably going to split these up. I don't need a fleet of 6 battleships. I need those dispersed to support other fleets that are already existing. I got ships right now being put into reserves. I'll deal with those later. Let's see here. Man, oh my God, we got a lot of ships here. Cruiser division. Put them into fleet exercise. Get those guys going. Fuel usage, naval fuel usage. We can still use plenty more fuel. I mean, we can train a lot more. Let's get daring here. Let's get more of these into training. Like I said, the United States is like so OP whenever you start. I mean, we start out with a daily gain of 6K fuel. That's a lot. Every nation I've usually started with, like, you start with like 200, and that becomes a problem. So, anyways, I wonder if we can start getting some planes into, just do a little exercising with some planes, get away with some of that. I'm probably just being too cautious here. Just get the training on the planes going. So you see the little animations of the planes flying around. That means they're doing their exercises. So we got a lot of things in training right now. But that's also more things we got to keep up with. All right, so construction got completed. That's good. So our construction, we get construction bonuses. So that's that's always good. We want to be able to eventually create more synthetic refineries to increase our fuel production. That is always a bonus. So we got to check on all these fleets. So the more you have out there in exercises and in doing stuff, the more you got to pay attention to them, make sure they're not being damaged. We'll also eventually want to prioritize what fleets will be automatically reinforced whenever they take any kind of damage in battle. So that will be important. Okay, so but yeah, so right now what I want to do is I want to get my fleets built up, ready for war with Japan. Let's look at Japan and what our intel says they have in terms of fleets. Empire of Japan. We've got just a little bit more ships than them, so we want to have a lot more ships than them by the time war breaks out. And usually Japan goes after the United States. They go after the Philippines first, but the Philippines are under our control, and so when they go after the Philippines, they're actually going after us, and so we end up getting war declared on us. So train our Atlantic fleet in preparation against Japan and the Philippines. We do want to protect the Philippines. They are an ally of ours. And let's see here. Map mode. Steel. So yeah, there's a lot of. They got a lot of chromium and good amount of steel there in the Philippines. We could also, we have the ability to create things like coastal forts for the Philippines. So we may do that eventually. But I'm just building up my industry first. Want to get that in a fairly comfortable level. As we start this game, got a damaged battleship. Definitely want to. Oh, we got a damaged cruiser, light cruiser. Looks like these are all trained up. Yeah, so these are all done, so we can go ahead and get those back to base. Looks like these ones are all trained up, so we can get those back to base. These guys are all good. Get them back to base. Look at that, 9 battleships. It's just a fleet of 9 battleships. That's just wild. That is a lot of ships that we have here. And this is just a big old destroyer flotilla with 1 light cruiser in it. Okay, so let's see what else needs training over here. Carriers here. We'll need some training. We're gonna eventually start to design our own fleets for particular purposes. Let's see, how much fuel usage are we using now? 240k. Let's do it. Let's just get these guys into training. Got 5. So this little conch right here you see in the ship means you got 5 naval exercises happening in the western seaboard region. And so, you know, and then we have the Caribbean fleets. That Caribbean fleet is basically just a fleet of destroyers, it looks like. And those are the carriers. We just got a new dockyard. And then we got our focus done. And as you can see, our political power has increased dramatically because we finished that national focus. So we're going to check out our next national focus. Pause the game, of course, so we can think about this. Agricultural Adjustment Act. So there's a lot of things we can do with the focus. We're going to right now basically. Do I open up the War Department yet? That's the question. I don't think it would. Let's hold back on that. Let's just focus in on our industry. We're just coming out of we're trying to come out of the Great Depression here. So daily political power costs, resource gain, efficiency, population factor. That's good. That's something we need because, you know, manpower is important in this game. Yeah, that's something you have to pay attention to. Right now we have a pretty low manpower, only 183,000 men available, and that's definitely not good. So let's do the agricultural, and then of course we can modify our government now, so we can add a new political advisor if we want to. Construction speed of the military factories. So that's good. We would like that. Let's do war industrialist right now. I think, you know, try to get some of these things constructed faster. We got a new naval dockyard that we can dedicate to something. I usually try to get the battleships and the capital ships built faster. They just take more time, so the more naval dockyards I have dedicated to them, the faster they can get built. Whereas I have maybe like one devoted to each of the smaller ships. What I like to call them screen ships. And yeah, just go from there. Because again, the battleships and the capital ships, which are okay. So the capital ships are battleships, cruisers, heavy cruisers, and carriers. Those are capital ships, and those are really important ships. You really want to take care of those ships. We are gonna eventually split off this carrier division. Maybe actually we can just keep the carrier division together and just add a lot of ships to it. And then if you look here, On the carriers, there's a bar up above the carriers that's not above any of the other ships. That is the amount of planes that are on these carriers. So they're about half full. And if you look over that, it gives you stats on these planes. So right now, currently, these planes are not consuming any fuel because the planes are just sitting on the deck. They're not doing anything. If I click on one of these right here, you can kind of see more detail of these fighters right here. And they're probably not trained, so we'll have to train them. The way that you train your fighter squadrons on your carriers is you have to have the carriers actually out in the ocean, and then doing naval exercises. Air training exercises with the planes. Speaking of planes, let's check on these. See how these are doing. These are doing good. These are doing good. So that's all fine and dandy. We are producing more planes, but we don't have a lot. And as you can see, again, like we're struggling with a lot of other things right now. Our biggest thing is we don't have stockpile, and we want stockpile. That's very, very important to start stockpiling things. We want to get to a position where we're actually doing that. So, okay, we have another naval dockyard, and let's put it to this heavy cruiser. Oh, we got even another one. Basic armor protection for our tanks. Good. Let's add this to, okay, that right there. And no, not yet. Let's go into production of heavy tanks. I mean, we won't be able to really build any of them anytime soon, which actually starts making me wonder, maybe we should, I think a good principle is to focus on the things that are sort of immediate rather than things that you don't necessarily need at the moment. So let's look at something else. I like industry. I like making my industry better. So I think I'll just switch that to this. Got another naval dockyard. So we probably just finished building a ship, and a lot of some naval dockyards are now free. So now we have 255 ships. I thought it said we had 270. I might have misread that. So that would probably mean that Japan might have more ships than us. So that's not good. We want to get to a point where we actually have more ships. So the good news for us right now in the situation we're in is we are producing a good amount of ships. By 1939, we are going to have, at this level, we should have more ships than Japan and be able to fight her. And so once we knock out Japan's navy, I don't really care. Like I said, I don't care what else happens. They don't really have anything else. I'll probably keep a small fleet of submarines here, kind of blockade Japan a little bit, and prevent them from being able to invade the Philippines. If I can do that, I don't really care. Everything else can just go back to the mainland, and we can focus on our push into Mexico. So that is my long-term game plan, is to invade Mexico, eventually take South America. And I've set it up to where, again, like I said, a lot of these South American countries are going to end up going communist when things start going crazy. Right now, we're sort of in this is the stage of what's called the gathering storm. And that's why I like to start my game, because it gives you the option of just seeing how well you prepare for the coming war. So let's see here. Military staff can't add any of that yet. We'll eventually. I'd like to get to limited conscription at some point. Free trade. Export focused. Free trade, I think is fine. Isolation. So we'll eventually want to start doing conscription. To do that, we'd have to remove this is our economic policy right now: undisturbed isolation, which is what the United States kind of was back in the 1930s. They were basically not involved in wars, and I'm totally for that. But we're not going based on my personal ideologies here. We are just role playing, you might say. A United States that kind of becomes an imperial United States, but kind of like a, maybe let's say a soft imperialism. We're not looking to like just actually like wreck people, whatever. We just want a more unified Americas, and we believe that we, the United States, are in the position to do that, to stabilize and to prevent communism from spreading into the Americas. That's our biggest concern, and there we go. All right. Okay, so we don't really care too much what's going on over here in Europe. Have set things up a little bit differently, so the war should pan out a little bit different than it actually did. It always does, which is kind of one of the fun things. All right, so let's go back to our Navy here. Let's see. These guys are training. These guys are not training right now. Oh, they're repairing. Okay. So most of the battle fleet here, my main battle fleet, is trained. So the Atlantic fleet is the one we probably want to focus in on. Destroyer flotilla. That's, man, 28 destroyers in that one fleet. And that's the Atlantic fleet. Again, so I might convert a lot of these to over to the Pacific just to take on the Japanese. My thing is, if I can force the Japanese into a fight right into the South China Sea, maybe the East China Sea, sometimes we end up in the Gulf of Thailand, Straits of Malacca. If I can keep them confined in here and just concentrate my own fleets in this area, I think we'll be good, and we'll just have destroyed the Japanese fleet. That's what we did last time. We didn't finish that game, but that's what we did last time. But, of course, I don't really have the ground forces to deal with Japan. So I didn't really focus on ground warfare. But I'm planning to go to war with Mexico here eventually. Recruit and deploy. So recruitment is moving along very slowly, but it's moving. Let's see here. Let's check out our production. I don't have any tank divisions in production right now because I don't have any tanks in production. Looks like our artillery has now reached stockpiling state, so that's good. Support equipment is on its way to that. We will okay, so we got a lot more military factories on the way, so that's good. I wonder. Let's go research real quick. Experimental facilities, other kinds of experiments that we can eventually start doing. Montana class battleship underway replenishment. This would require naval engineering +2. So we would need 2 special facilities to do underwater replenishment. Supplying navies far from their home bases, we're always eliminating. With our fleets operating on extreme ranges, we need to develop a new method. It says a new methods for resupply. Slight misspelling, but I think that's probably going to be a thing with the amount of content that's in this game. So again, what I want to do right now is I want to focus on what I'm currently producing and get that into stockpiling state. And then from there we can move on to producing other things. When we click on these air bases right here, this means that this airbase is full. Well, it's not full, but it's got planes in it. If you look on an airbase that's just got a black plane symbol, it means there's an airbase there, but there are no planes there. And this can hold 600 planes. This one can hold up to 1,000 planes, but there's only 185 there. Recent immigration influx. Recent policy and good living conditions within the United States of America has caused a recent influx of immigrants. They are now settling in our territory. Franklin D. Cool, I guess. Hey, we like immigrants. All right, so 185 planes here, but we can hold up to 1,000. And so when you hover over one of these, you see that little ring, those two rings. Those are basically the range of the airplanes, like how far they can go from this air base. And so bombers can affect this area as far as that radius goes. Fighters, whatever, different kinds of planes. You know, they all have their particular uses. Oh, by the way, I need to make sure I'm keeping up with my lobbying efforts, because the more I'm lobbying, the more support I get from Senate and House to do what I want to do. Okay, we'll hold off on that for now. It has been just over 3 years since the formation of the anti-Nazi Fatherland Front in Austria, but it would appear that the nation has finally been forced to submit to the German Reich's pressure. Earlier this week, believing that the effect of the German embargo on the Austrian nation has become too great, Kurt Schlussnig met with Adolf Hitler on a renegotiation of many of the German sanctions. On the surface, it would appear that Kurt Schlussnig has been successful in his efforts, as most of the sanctions have been lifted. However, a deeper look reveals that he has been forced to appoint many pro-Nazi ministers to his cabinet, pulling the already fragile nation even further into German sphere of influence. Another domino falls into place. That's whatever. I don't really care. That's way up in Europe. That's not my concern. So, what is this? Okay. Anyways, close that for now. We don't really care about what's going on there. So we have 100 political points. Is there anything we can use that for? National characters. This is new. We can add a military staff if we want to. So when we add our military staff, we want to be thinking about Chief of Air Force, Army Planning Specialist. So what do we want to focus on in terms of Chief of Navy? So what do we want to focus on? Naval Reformer, Ernest King, Naval Experience Gain plus 30 a day, Convoy Rating Efficiency. Let's stick with Naval Reformer for now. We can worry about things like Commerce Rating when we're actually at war. Alright, we haven't checked on our ships in a while, our fleets. We're good here. Good there. I think we just checked on that one, but just do it. Good. We're good. We got one ship that is repairing. It looks like it's about to be fully repaired. Oh, we got a damaged destroyer. Let's get them going. Transmission from the Spanish Republic. So the Spanish Civil War has just started, which was a thing. That's actually a historical event that happened in 1936. So that's history doing what it's doing. I don't really care what's going on there. So we got another military factory that's we're going to devote that to infantry equipment. What I'm kind of learning to do right now is have different divisions in my army for different things. So infantry doesn't move very fast. Tanks do. Using sort of like a blitzkrieg mentality. I haven't added anything to the planes yet. We do want to start producing more planes. So I have certain divisions that are dedicated to attack, certain divisions that will be sort of more into defense kind of stuff. And so, anyways, but looking here in Mexico, because we're obviously planning to invade eventually, we can kind of start thinking about how we want to go about it. Monterrey, a lot of train yards go into this area. Very deserty, obviously, the southern border. We'll probably have maybe at least 3 different fronts over here, maybe central, and then the far east fronts. The goal is obviously Mexico City. Taking this naval base might be good. I probably want to avoid the mountains for the most part and have actual mountaineer forces. You can train those forces that are specifically designed for mountain terrains. And yes, the terrain in this game is not just there for show. It actually does affect. It has effects on your battle capabilities. So if you have troops that are not good in mountains, they will suffer penalties in mountain battles. A lot of damaged ships now. So you want to you gotta look at the terrain and make that's one of your considerations, like the immersion of this game. This is okay, the Atlantic Fleet. So let's get this destroyer fleet trained. Why not one more small one? Get them going. Get her going. Okay, so Italy has took 10 states. Ethiopia, again, another historical event that actually did happen. Italy, prior to World War II, trying to get its own colonies, they took Ethiopia. All right, so you look over here. This is the Spanish Civil War happening right now. So the yellow is the Republic of Spain, and the sort of tannish is the more kind of brownish is the sort of the nationalist Spain. So yeah, so that war is breaking out again. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guys? I don't really care. That's just not my thing. I don't. That's just you know. Okay, so what do we want here? We can limited intervention. We would have to requires the support of at least 58 senators, more than 5% war support in order to go for limited intervention. Let's click on this real quick. It would take extraordinary aggression to draw us into a war that at full support, but after recent developments, many people are freely willing to assist in conflict abroad. So effects of this one would be world tension is decreased by 5. Set the rules. Can send volunteer forces. Add limited intervention, which grants joint faction tension limits. Passing this law will make it significantly harder to mobilize your economy. And then if we go to the Neutrality Act, it seems increasingly certain that war will break out in Europe. During the Great War, American companies sold large quantities of weapons to the Allies, and many believe that the American entry was mostly motivated by a desire to ensure that those deliveries would be paid for. This time, there won't be any war profiteering. So, this will give me 200 points of political power when it's completed, which is pretty nice. Gain base war support, 5%, up to 5 senators and 5 representatives will support the government. Passing the Neutrality Act will drastically increase the requirements to pass the Lend-Lease Act. So, cash and carry scheme. Office of Economic Warfare. So when you think about this tree here, each one leads to different things. I mean, not always, but a lot of them lead to different things. So war plans, intervention in Europe grants you the ability to grants this, which gives you bonus attack against Germany, and this one gives you bonus attack against the Soviet Union. But you have to unlock this first. But of course, you have to unlock that first, and then to unlock that, you have to unlock this. You know, it's just so that's kind of the way that works. We zoom out here. Just that's the thing. The kind of thing that sucks about the United States in this game is they don't have a very large focus tree. Yeah, it's kind of a small one, especially compared to Germany. I think Germany, so far for me, has had the biggest focus tree. A lot of different things that you can do in Germany. So once we unlock War Plan Division, we will probably focus more on intervention in the Americas. so that we can eventually kind of declare war on Mexico. This will give us bonus tax against Mexico. So we don't want to go to Mexico without this activated. So, and then of course we could go to war with Canada, but I don't know why we'd go to war with Canada right now. Yeah, I might try to get recruit Canada's help. We can also do intervention in Asia. So yeah, so that's so those are the pathways you can take. Some of them are incompatible with each other. It's like, see this right here. This means these two are incompatible with each other. You can only pick one. Right now, we can't do limited intervention because we don't meet the some requisitions. You have to have 5% war support. We only have 3. You have to have at least 58 senators. Currently 60 senators and 261 Republicans. Currently 325. So we don't have enough Republicans or representatives. Sorry, we don't have enough representatives in the House to support limited intervention. Gain-based stability. So if we go for the Neutrality Act, war support is going to go all the way down. So we're not going to do that right now. Let's focus again on our let's focus on just on this here. Why? Let's just do this. I think. With war looming on the horizon, we must focus our scientific efforts to ensure that we are not outmatched by any political adversary. Gain 1 research slot. Remove rush research and development, which grants armor division attack minus 5% research speed, strength time. Okay. So we get a lot of negatives for this one. Facility supply consumption plus 50%. So why don't we just go ahead right now and unlock the War Department's naval experience? That's gonna be. I think it'll be a good idea. We've done a pretty good amount in industry. We should balance that out a little bit with the military. Let's check on our ships. We got a damaged ship here. Dispersed industry is done. Combat service support is done. Before we go to that, let's just make sure our ships and stuff are good. Damaged ship there. Check these out. Looking good. Looking good. Looking good. 2 ships in repair for that one. These ones are about to level up to the 3rd level, which is the highest you can go. That any of your units can go to when in just training. In order for them to go any higher than anything else, they have to actually be in combat. All right, so we've pretty much unlocked everything in the industry departments for 1936. We can go up a little bit, if we want to, but we're not really going to do that. So, Special Research Division. This is a new research departments here, so it's kind of cool. I guess it's for this mod. Special Research Division. Unlock the Special Research Division. Army focus. Time to research. So can you only pick one, or can you do any of them? Because right now I would want to focus on my Navy. I would want my Navy to be very strong. Again, I think Navy is going to be very, very important. Army focus. Division organization plus 5%. Army leader cost minus 5%. Production efficiency growth. Our advantage lies in our ability to do what others do not dare. If we push ourselves beyond the boundaries, then the tools of at our disposal become limitless. The capabilities of our land forces are of the utmost importance and will take priority over the other operational branches. It means, as we push forward, we must not forget to stay true to our principles. If our soldiers can take pride in our cause, they will weather any adversity. The skies are the future, and so it is appropriate that we dedicate ourselves to making our force the strongest in the world. 8th generation chance. Oops. Without a capable navy, a nation will die. That is why we must make every effort to expand and strengthen this branch of our military. I tend to agree with that, given the potential for war with Japan coming soon. All right, so I think we can kind of focus a little bit on some of these other things, sort of tertiary things. But what's the? I think let's go back to researching the heavy tank. Let's do that. And then we can eventually start producing the heavy tanks. Maybe the medium tanks. Probably want to do the medium tanks first. I think we can produce those more. Ooh, mechanical computing. All right, we got another one just finished. Basic radius. Let's do fortifications. I think fortifications will become important. There's actually another interesting. I can only do this in 1939. I can do it right now. But so this tells you this technology when it's available, and the year it's available, and it's going to be available in 1939. Now you can still focus on it, you can still do it, but you get a technology, you get basically a penalty for doing it at a time before it's time, kind of thing like that, So I usually don't mess with that. Check on our planes here. And these guys are fully trained. All these fully trained, so we can get them out of air exercises. So they're all trained. So it's just this one right there. Where do we have more planes? We have more planes over here. Looks like they're in the carriers right here. So we'll eventually have to have this carrier go out to sea. This particular one, which is only one carrier, so I don't know why we have just one there. We will probably have to combine them, because for some reason this is so let's think about where we want to put this carrier. Cruiser division. Ooh, we got a damaged ship. Can we check there? We don't want to overburden our admirals nor our generals. So as you can see here, these are all our admirals in control of different fleets. Mr. Nimitz over here is controlling this fleet. That's what. So you see his red. That means these are his fleets right here. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fleets in his command. Oh wait, no. Okay, so they're not overburdened, but he can hold up to 10 fleets or task forces. I usually just call them fleets. So you can hold up to 10 fleets in his command. Now he can actually hold up even more if you wanted to, but you're overburdening the admiral, and he actually ends up getting penalties as a result of that. So it's usually just better to keep it within 10 or their limits. 2 fleets for this guy here, 9 for this one, 1 for this guy, and again you can see all that up here. So for Nimitz, he's got a total of 71 ships in his command, with 5 fleets. There's 4 of them in exercises right now. So that's kind of what all this means right here. So you want to look at the relevant ships and fleets. You look at the colors and what they're attributed to, and you can also see the colors right up here. It's just the way the game organizes it for you, so it's really, 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 really handy, really useful. Not as confusing as it may look. So, all right, so going back to this, we have a single carrier, which wouldn't be good for us. So, looking here, let's think about, we got 3 submarine squadrons. We don't really need to put in a submarine squadron. Destroyers, battleship division. I could just basically just make a new fleet. Maybe we can have 2 battleships, but I don't know. For now, you know, honestly, for these battleships, I kind of want to put them in reserves. It's even better when you can have a bunch of battleships and capital ships in reserves. That's even better. What do we have here, though? We have a cruiser division. With a couple cruisers, one heavy cruiser. Well, we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I mean, it's not a necessity right now. So let's keep the game going. Everything looking good over here in the Far Asiatic Fleet. Oh, got one damaged submarine. These right here. Did I go too far? Okay. Yeah. So we have a fleet of destroyers here, 10 destroyers, and they're all fully trained. We also have planes over here. It looks like. So we want to get them into exercises. Got a new dockyard that we can devote to something. Let's devote this to battleship right here. As you can see here, with the current production capacity, naval dockyards attribute to it, you know, whatever. This will be done by in 1937, May 11th of 1937. But if we add more dockyards, it will increase that. So that'll basically be ready by next year, is what that's telling us. Checking on our planes, they're all trained, so that's good. What else is in training over here? I'm still seeing planes in the air. It's not telling me what. Okay, interesting. Okay, well, I know we have planes over here that I don't think I've ever put into exercises, so we want to do that. Oh, another naval dockyard. Let's put this to this cruiser right here. I mean, a carrier. Right now, okay, so now we're up to 257 ships in total. The Olympics, of course, historical events really happened. Okay, so these ones are all trained up, so we can send those back. Damaged ship right here, but they're almost fully trained here. Carrier divisions, or sorry, cruiser division. Looking good there. Damaged destroyer. Damaged destroyer. Carriers looking good there. These are all trained up, so we can move them out. Looking good. Looking good. Looks like these are all trained, and we can move them back to base. So we're getting all our ships trained. Looking good. I mean, our entire fleet is looking excellent right now. Once we get that out of the way, then it's just a matter of training up a lot of the reserves. We got 18 ships in reserve, so all of our reserves are destroyers and submarines. I'm devoting everything basically to reserves right now, everything that's being built, and then I'm just kind of deal with how I want to distribute these ships later on. So when you click on, like, once this is right here is where the ship's going to go once it's finished, so you can devote it to like the Caribbean fleet. So basically that means when this ship is done in 1938, it's going to go automatically to the Caribbean fleet. But if you just click on American Theater, it's going to go into reserves. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm putting all these in reserves, and then I'll maybe think about making fleets with these. You do want to have a lot of reserve ships, because once you go into battle, ships are going to take damage, they're going to get sunk, they're going to, whatever. And so you need to be able to reinforce your fleets. As I learned, again, these are things I've learned the hard way. Especially when it comes to battleships. Protect your battleships at all cost. So that's why you want to have your battleships traveling with a lot of screen ships like destroyers, light cruisers, sometimes even submarines, and because they will protect your capital ships while your capital ships do a lot of damage to enemy fleets. But your capital ships are like your queen in a chess game. Very, very valuable. You do not want to lose those because they take a lot of time to both repair and to replace when you lose a capital ship because they take longer to build. So you always want to try to keep those things going. The smaller ships, you can always replace those in maybe a year or two. Capital ships, man, sometimes those take 3-4 years to build. And that's one of the things, like when I knocked out Japan, I just took out all of his capital ships. And, once you lose all your capital ships in the span of a whole year, if you don't have the industry to build them faster, your Navy's done. All right, so we have enough points here, naval experience points, to add doctrines to our Navy. So you can focus on 3 different trees here. Base strike, trade interdiction, and then fleet in being. So with a strong focus on carriers and their support, no enemy will be outside our reach, whether on land or at sea. So we can change this if you want to. I don't really mind using the base strike at all. Carrier primacy, let's just go with submarine operations. Submarine operations first. Let's do that one first. And we have, okay, so I think we've been going for about an hour here. So I think we'll call it here at an hour, and then we will continue on. As I do have to be getting ready for something pretty soon. So yeah, this is Hearts of Iron. I figured instead of just going through a training video and stuff, let's just play it and just, you can see what it's like. Okay, so these guys are all trained up, so we can just basically send all of them back to base, back to the naval base. So everything's looking good here. Just got a few more left in training. Once they're all trained up, looks like this one's just done. We got one little destroyer there that's needs to catch up. These guys are all done. Send them back to base, of course, get them repaired. And so yeah, so this is Hearts of Iron 4, and I might do some more in talking about, looks like the Spanish nationalists are winning the war here. But I might go into, like, I've started a Germany campaign as Germany, and so we'll see how that, I might do that one. That's this one right here. So we are in July 6th. That's my birthday, by the way. July 6th of 1939. I wasn't born in 1939, but yeah. So USA, and just put alt here. It says alternative USA, and this is of course with the mod that's going to take us into the Cold War. We'll see what the Cold War looks like by 1946 and stuff, 47, which is about when it began. But until then, I will see you all later.